January 2003. Former NBA player Armin Gilliam, who's the head coach, blows the whistle to stop practice. He calls everybody together. He says, Dre, I've been telling you over and over again not to grab the rebound and try to dribble the ball coast to coast. I told you to stop doing that. You keep doing it. You know where I was at last week? I was meeting with Bobby Knight, and he has a sign in his office that says, this is not Burger King. You cannot have it your way. Dre, you cannot have it your way. He kicked me out of the gym. That was the end of my college basketball career. But it wasn't the end of my playing career. Let's get into the Q&A.
DreAllDay.com.
What up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Yes, what I just told you is a true story, and you can read all about it in my book, Product Placement Alert, my book, Buy a Game, which is my first book. You can actually read this. This is the physical copy. You can get this on Amazon, but you can also read this book for free, a PDF version, on my website, DreAllDay.com. Just go to DreAllDay.com/buy-a-game. Of course, no spaces, and you can read a PDF for free. You can also get this book available on iTunes and on Amazon. Just go on iTunes and Amazon, search my name, you'll see it. So anyway, one other thing I want to say before we get into the Q&A is that I do have another channel. I got a couple other channels, but one other channel I want to mention today is a channel where I talk about a lot of off-court stuff, because several questions I get in the Q&As, even though this channel is, of course, mostly basketball, are stuff that's off the court. You can ask me that stuff, and I'll go into it in much more depth and detail on my other channel, which is Dre All Day. So that's youtube.com/Dre All Day. I will put annotation for that and a link in the video description for both that channel and for my book, Buy a Game. If you didn't know about this book been out for almost 3 years. So if you didn't know about it, now you know. And that's it. Now let's get into the Q&A. For those of you who don't know how this works, and a fresh memory of those who do and may have forgotten, the Q&A is a weekly staple here on this channel where I go through the comments and questions from the previous week's Q&A. I record it as I'm doing right now, and what you're watching becomes what you're watching right now, which is Q&A number 60. I'm going to be taking the questions out of the comment section of Q&A 59. So if you want me to address something that you have to ask, leave it in the comments to this video, Q&A 60, and my response will be within the next video, which will be Q&A number 61. Everybody got that? Good. And let's get straight into it. First question. Raul Marmolejo says, in your opinion, for the ball handling hoop handbook, which one would you recommend? I don't really understand the question, Raul. Ball handling hoop handbook is a program, so there is no one. It is the program. So you might want to rephrase that question for clarity, because I don't understand what you're asking. Next, Dmitry Chukovic says, Dre, I know it's not your expertise, and he said he's been asking non-basketball questions, but his question is, how do you get to college? Do you pay tuition? Did you have scholarships? I'm asking because he's interested. He wants to come to the U.S. after high school, and he's always wanted to get there. He's been speaking English very well since he was 6 years old. His sister lives in Philadelphia, and he wants to know if I know any colleges with lower tuition fees, and is it possible to have a part-time job while in college? Well, first of all, colleges with lower tuitions, you would have to look that up, because I don't study the tuitions of colleges. I'm sure there are people who do. I'm definitely sure there are people who do, but I'm not one of them. If you can Google that, since you're on the internet, you can easily Google and find the tuitions of any school, because they're prominently posted, because if you don't pay, you can't go to school. So every school posts what their tuition is. So all you had to do is look that up. And you could also, you said your sister lives there, so you could also just ask your sister, and she could probably give you really good information. And as far as having a job, of course, I know a lot of people who have jobs in college, part-time and full-time jobs while they're in college. So you can definitely do that. Next, Tayshin24 says, can you do a windmill dunk? I don't know. I had to go on the court and try it, but I don't think I'm going to be trying it anytime soon. I don't do dunks for show no more. So if somebody asks me, can I do a dunk just to do it, like just to prove that I can do it, I might be able to do it, but that don't mean I'm going to go do it. So I don't do dunks for show no more. Over the age of 30, you don't ask somebody over 30 to do dunks for show. I ain't doing it. Next. Saeed Chama says, when did you first dunk? I was 16 when I first dunked. I don't know how tall I was. People ask that question all the time. Jesse Wick says, Dre, I always get called for fouls no matter if I jump or if I'm just standing there because I'm bigger than everyone else. He gets called for fouls is because he's big, he says. He says, do I know any tricks to not get fouls and And do I have a video about blocking shots effectively, because he would like to throw a shot into the stands? Well, the first thing about blocking shots is not really something that you learn in the video, because blocking shots is very instinctive. It's timing. It's not really a drill for blocking somebody's shot, because when you block somebody's shot, you have to have timed it perfectly, and every different player is going to have a different situation. Every offensive possession is a different situation, so you can't just practice timing that, because you don't know what that offensive player is going to be doing. You don't know what your opponent is going to be doing. So it's really a lot of timing work. I would suggest that if you want to learn how to block more shots, watch video of people who have blocked a lot of shots, or watch a mix of shot blockers and watch how they're blocking the shots. Watch when they're jumping to block. Watch how they're setting up their footwork. Watch how they're timing the release of the person who's shooting the ball. And then you can kind of learn from watching them. And then you also got to play a lot. But I don't think there's a drill for doing something that's instinctive. Those are complete opposites. Another thing he says, he's getting called for fouls a lot because he's bigger than other people. I suggest you speak to the referees when you get called for a foul. Speak to them. Don't get angry. Don't yell, and don't show them up. Don't make a show out of it. You can just walk up to them and ask them, like, what did I do on such and such play to get called for that foul? Or talk to your coach, or talk to someone older who may be in the audience or something who saw you get the foul. Because I know, depending on your age, some referees, they just think they might be a little bit too above you. Depending on if you're younger, they might not want to talk to you or have you come up to them, no matter how cordially you do so. So ask someone who's seen you get these fouls what it is you're doing wrong, and they'll give you the information. But since I can't see you playing, then I can't really tell you. Next is Fresh LB15. Says, Dre, thanks for answering my question last week. Do I think Miami has any chance this season with Wade, Dragic, Whiteside? And then he said, if Chris Bosh can play. We all know that Chris Bosh is not going to be playing now. But I think if Bosh had played, that Miami had a very formidable team. I think they could at least make the second round with Bosh. Without Bosh, I don't see them getting out of the first round. Next, Harvinder Harvinder, we'll just say Harvinder. He says, Dre, can you tell me how to get drafted by an NBA team? I play guard, I average 8 points a game, and a lot of players say I'm the best player in the school. Please tell me how I can get drafted. Well, first of all, Harvinder, I don't know what school you go to. I don't know if you're talking about a college or a high school or middle school or elementary school. So I would need that information to give you a more accurate answer. And then you say you play guard, you average 8 points. Now, generally, if somebody's averaging 8 points, I wouldn't say that screams superstar to me. But it's possible somebody can average 8 points and still be very good. Maybe they just don't shoot the ball out. They might have great stats in some other area or be a great player in some area other than scoring. But scoring obviously is not your strong point if you're scoring 8 points a game. And then he says, many players say that I'm the best player in the school. Well, there's a lot of contingencies to go with that, Harvinder. First of all, who's the competition at your school? Because if I went to a school that was all 8th grade girls, I'd be the best player. Even if I didn't play basketball no more, I'd still be the best player just by default. So it depends on who you're playing against to whether how much you being the best player in the school, how much weight that actually carries. I don't know how much weight it carries because I don't know what school you go to, and I don't know the players whom you're being compared to. And the third thing is, just because a lot of people tell you, and a lot of people come to me and they say similar things to what Harvinder's saying. They say, a lot of people say blank, and then they ask me how they can do the thing that a lot of people are telling them they should do. That's a terrible way to make decisions about your life. All right, there's no gray area to that. That's black and white terrible. You don't make your decisions based on what a lot of people say. A lot of people said the earth was flat until somebody said, you know what, I think the earth's round and I'm gonna go sail and find it, and now we have the United States of America. You don't base your life, your decisions, or your actions on what a whole bunch of people are telling you. Somebody came to me and said, well, a bunch of people told me I should try to play overseas, so how do I get overseas? I said, well, if you needed a bunch of people to tell you that before you thought it, then you're not ready to play overseas. You ain't no professional, so you're actually wasting your time asking me that question. And I told him that straight up. And so I'm gonna tell you, Harvinder, if you feel you're the best player in the school, then what you need to do is go play against some people from some other schools and see how good you are compared to them. Go play against the best player at the next school and the next school and the next school. Or get the best player from all 10 schools in the area and y'all play a 5-on-5, and then you'll see how good you are. And what you need to do, Harvinder, is keep proving yourself against each group when you're playing against those best guys. Because when you play in middle school The best players in middle school play in high school, so then you got to prove yourself there. And the best players in high school play in college, and then you got to prove yourself there. And the best players in college play in the pros. Now, you want to play in the NBA, how do you get drafted? To answer your original question, the core question that you're asking, you got to be a very good player, and you got to keep proving yourself everywhere you go. There is no guaranteed magic formula to get drafted, because if there was, then everybody would get drafted. But there are only a certain number of draft spots every single season. So there's no guarantee that any formula anyone gives you is guaranteed to get you drafted. What you need to do is be a very good player and keep proving it everywhere you go. Next question. The 2K boss, he said, at what height are you supposed to be able to dunk if you're white? Well, there's no height that you're supposed to be able to dunk, no matter what color you are, black, white, brown, yellow, whatever, what race you're from, what race you are, what nationality you are, what background you come from. There's no guaranteed height that you're supposed to be able to dunk. And there's really not a lot of supposed to when it comes to life in general, let alone basketball. There's no supposed to. The only supposed to's are this. On offense, you're supposed to score. On defense, you're supposed to stop the opponent from scoring. And at the end of the game, you're supposed to have more points than the other team. That is, if your object is to win, because the object of basketball is to win. And to win, you got to have more points than the other team. And other than that, the only supposed to in the game is that you're supposed to follow the actual rules of the game. So you can't foul somebody, because that's going to hurt your chances of winning. And you can't pick up the ball and just run 10 steps, because that's a violation, and whatever you do won't count. So you have to follow the rules. You're supposed to follow the rules, and then those 3 principles that I mentioned, and that's it. Nothing else in basketball is a supposed to. Everybody has different levels of development, different time frames, and even if you never dunk a basketball, 2K boss, you can still be a very good player. Next question. Keelan Carey says, do you have a favorite video game? My favorite video game of all time would be, I'm gonna have to go with The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda from the original Nintendo. I think Zelda is still being made. I think they still make updated versions of Zelda, but I haven't played those. The original Zelda, that was like the gold cartridge from this Nintendo Entertainment System back in the mid to late 80s. A lot of y'all wasn't even alive back then, but yeah, that's my favorite video game of all time. Ahmed Masood says, what did I think about All-Star Weekend and the trade deadline this year? Well, that's a very loaded question, Ahmed. You should have asked me something more specific. What did I think about it? It was good. I mean, All-Star Weekend was a show as usual. I hope they can get some more big-name guys in the dunk contest to bring some more flavor back to it, because even though Levine put on a great show with his dunks, most casual fans never even heard of his ass. I'd rather see all-stars dunking against each other. And maybe you put a couple lesser-known guys in there, because the rest of those guys are lesser-known guys. They're not even that significant on their own teams. Well, the Greek Freak is, and Plumlee had a good run. And who else was it? Oladipo's doing good in Orlando, but they're not. The casual fans never heard of those guys. So you want to get a guy who's in the All-Star game, also in the dunk contest, because that draws people in. That's what the All-Star Weekend is about. It's about the fans, the casual fans. The hardcore fans, we already know all these guys. It's for the casual fans. Next question. Michael Patterson says, did I ever have a strong doubt that I was going to make the team in college when I was coming out of high school, since I only averaged 2 points a game, as I said? And you're right, Michael, I did say that I only averaged 2 points a game in my book by game. And that is a true story. I did average 2 points a game. Did I have doubts that I would make it in college? No, I didn't have doubts, because that year, when I entered my senior year of high school, I was 17 years old. And when I graduated, I was 18 years old. And that year, as soon as that season ended, that spring of around this time, in 2000, so that was 15 years ago, that's when my confidence really grew. That's when I got to the point where I really felt like I could play ball with anybody in any league, anywhere. That's when my confidence got to the point. That's where I really felt like I'm a good basketball player, which means in my mind, when I say good player, that meant I can play with anybody. That's just my definition of what a good basketball player is. So I didn't have any doubts, because I knew whatever school I went to, I was just going to go to the gym and play open gym with whoever came in there. And I knew what I was capable of. I just had a high level of confidence in myself. And then I went to a school and I did exactly that. I went and played pickup, and people started noticing me. And the incumbent players started noticing me. So then when the coach came around and he said, hey, is anybody in here I should be taking note of? They said, oh, this dude right here. And the rest is history. Next question. Donnell Perkins says, Dre, can you do a Russell Westbrook signature program? On Donnell, you got to go to hoophandbook.com and type in Russell Westbrook. That program has been there for a long time. Next, Top Knot Sports says, he says, I gave an interesting answer to his last question. Now, his next question is, he says, he's big on self-evaluation, and he's sure that I am as well. And that is absolutely true. He says, what do you think some of your strengths and weaknesses are as a basketball player? I think my strength is that I have no weakness. I think there's no holes in my game, rather. I'd rather put it that way. There's no holes in my game. So offensively, scoring, inside, outside, handling the ball, passing, defense, I can pretty much guard whatever position I'm playing. I could grab rebounds. There's no part of the game that I can't do at all. I'm not saying I'm superstar at everything, but I'm saying there's no part of the game that I'm absolutely inept and incapable of playing. So that's what I'll say. Next, DeMarcus says, his question is, what would I consider the physical prime or peak in basketball? Physical prime or peak in basketball is around age, I say between age 27 and maybe about 32, physical prime peak. Give or take a year or two based on that player's body, based on their background, how long they've been playing, how many years or miles or minutes they got on their body, if they've had any injuries. So some players peak very early and some players peak later, just based on the way they handle their body, take care of their body, the way that they grow and develop. So there's no guaranteed range that fits everybody, but I would say late 20s, early 30s pretty much is the physical prime of the body. Next, Dalton Lise says, do I think Kentucky or any major college basketball program could beat an NBA team? If so, which team and why? No, I don't think so, and the reason why is that the same thing I had said earlier, and now just said earlier, the top high school players play in college and the top college players play in the pros. So that Kentucky team that's doing great right now, the best of those guys are going to make it into the pros, and even when they get there, that doesn't mean they're going to be the best there. Some of them are going to be really good, some of them are going to be average to middling guys, some guys are going to sit on the end of the bench, and some of them won't last very long at all. In the NBA, you got the top guys, the cream of the crop of all colleges. So just because Kentucky's dominating colleges, understand they're dominating guys who won't even touch the NBA, some guys who won't even play a minute of pro basketball anywhere at any level. So no, the Kentucky would not beat an NBA team simply because the NBA team is the Kentucky. Like every NBA team would be doing the exact same thing Kentucky's doing in college right now, probably twice as bad as they doing everybody else they be doing it. Next, Josh Peralta says, I love your vids, keep up the great work. My coach says his coach tells him that he needs to work on going up strong, quote unquote, puts that in quotations. His question to me is, do I have any recommendations for getting more basketball strong and finishing shots in traffic, specifically in the paint? And he says he would like something where he doesn't need somebody else to help him, because every video he finds on that topic, he needs someone to help him, which he doesn't have. He said he knows some drills, but many of them, all he has for equipment is a pair of dumbbells, and he weighs 45 pounds. No, he has a pair of dumbbells that weigh 45 pounds. So he says, hopefully that's specific enough. And he says he's 5'7". So he wants to know, 5'7" player wants to know how he can work on going up strong and finishing through contact, finishing strong in basketball without using any extra equipment. Well, here's the thing, Josh, the reason that you need to work on going up and finishing strong like your coach tells you is because that is referring to dealing with contact. Because if you was playing by yourself, then it wouldn't matter if you went up strong or weak, because nobody's going to block you or bump you or touch you, right? Because you're by yourself. So going up strong is all about playing against other players. So if you really need to work on going up strong, like your coach says, you need another person, because there's nothing to measure yourself against when you're practicing against nothing. But what you can do, I think one thing that I talk about in my video, which is titled How to Be Aggressive When Driving to the Basket, I suggest you look at that video, Josh. You have to get yourself in a certain mindset. And this is something that I talk about over and over and over again with basketball players, that everyone can practice. You can practice 20 hours a day, whatever number of hours, ridiculous numbers people be giving me how much they be practicing. you can practice as much as you want. If you don't have the right mentality, and this is something actually to give y'all a little backstory. Y'all saw the movie Wolf of Wall Street. Maybe some of you did, some of you didn't. If you didn't, it doesn't matter. You'll still understand. The guy who that movie was based on, his name is Jordan Belfort. You know, Leonardo DiCaprio played him, but his real name is Jordan Belfort. He did like a speaking tour in the United States. He probably still does tours. And he came to South Florida where I live, and I went to see him speak. And one of the things he talked about was that, because he talks about sales. He wasn't just giving an entertainment. He was talking about sales, because that was what he was really good at. Even though he did some illegal things, he was actually a very good salesperson. He just got greedy and went too far with it, which is how he ended up in jail. But what he talked about is that no matter how much outer game you have, which is talking about the skills you have to sell and to speak to people, and if we were related to basketball, let's say you got great ball handling skills when you practice, and you got a great shot, and you athletic, and you can dunk, and you can play great defense, and you know all the plays for your team, and basically skill-wise you got the total package. If you don't have the right inner game, which means your physical state, how you feel physically, how you're locked in mentally, having the right confidence. If you don't have the right inner game, then you can't unlock all your outer game. So you have to have a proper inner game in order to unlock your outer game. So what I would say you can do, Josh, since you don't want to have to use equipment or other people, is work on your inner game, work on your mentality. At some point you will have to get on the court and actually work on driving to the basket and finishing through contact. And since you don't have another, let's just say you never have anyone to practice against, the only practice you'll have is when you're playing against other people. It's going to be rough. You're going to take some L's, you're going to take some bumps. You're going to might have some more games where you're not finishing strong, and maybe your coach will yell at you and tell you the same thing over and over again, unless or until you can find someone to practice against who can actually knock you on your ass while you're trying to go to the hole and finish. So you got to be somebody you respect enough that when they knock you on your ass, you don't get mad. You got to take it, treat it like business, because that's what it is when you're trying to get better. So that's the thing I would say you need to do. Next question. Austin Bellinger says, when I play one-on-one or even 5-on-5, I have a hard time beating my defender. I have good handles and ball control, but when I size up my defender, I can't get him to move or trip at all. So his question is, how do you break ankles when dribbling so you can get an easy look at the basket? Well, Austin, there's no one way to break ankles. You can break somebody's ankles with a simple jab step, depending on how they respond, because what you should understand, Austin, and anyone else who has a similar question, breaking ankles or getting a defender off balance, let's just call it that, because that's breaking ankles just means, like, I guess he refers to like doing something, getting them to react so crazy that the crowd goes wild, because that's what breaking ankles is. But getting that defender off balance, getting them to react one way while you're going the other way, is not all about what the offensive player does. Because if you go take Allen Iverson's crossover when he crossed over Michael Jordan, and you do that exact same move the exact same way perfectly, is it guaranteed that you're going to cross that guy, the defender, the same way that Iverson crossed Jordan? No. Why not? Because breaking ankles is not all about, it's not 100% on what the offense does. It's 50% what the offensive guy does, and the other half is what the defensive guy does. So is it guaranteed that just because Iverson did that crossover, because he did that crossover his rookie year and crossed Jordan, not every time he crossed somebody over did he get them to jump all the way out of the picture and hit a jump shot? Because if it was that easy, he'd just do the same move every play for the rest of his career and he'd have scored 100 points a game. It's not that simple, because the defender is going to react differently. Each separate defender is going to have a separate reaction. And the same defender, let's say he played against Jordan again, which he did, and he had Jordan guard him again in his career, and he didn't cross him like that again, you notice that that highlights only one play. So what happened all the rest of the plays where Jordan was guarding? It wasn't that many, but it was more than one. Why? Jordan adjusted. So Jordan saw the move. Now, okay, you're not going to be able to use that move again because you already used it on me. So now that's part of my memory. So if I guard you again, I know you got that move, so now you're going to have to show me something else. So there's no one way to break ankles. Even if you mastered a perfect crossover tutorial, whatever you find on YouTube, and you do it exactly as the guy showed you, it is not guaranteed that you're going to shake that defender off. You might get the ball stolen from you, because getting the defender off balance is not only what you do, you have to deceive the defender, which is based on what that defender is anticipating. And you don't know all the time what the defender is anticipating, and you might know based on what you've shown them already. So if you blow by a defender to the left 3 times in a row, then you might be able to fake left and go right because they might be sitting on that left hand. Or if you shoot a jump shot a bunch of times, then you might be able to fake the jump shot and drive to the basket, or vice versa. But you get the point. And again, this is all like a chess game because you have to try to anticipate what he's anticipating and then anticipate a step past him, and he's trying to do the exact same thing to you. So basketball, again, and this is all instinctive. This is not something you think about. You can't pause the game and then go sit down and write it down and say, okay, I did this, and he might be thinking that. You don't have time for that. You notice how quick plays go in basketball. By the time you score, they come down, only 20 seconds pass, you got the ball again. Now what you going to do? You don't have time to think. You have to react instinctively. How do you develop that skill? By playing and practicing a lot. Next question. Sneaker life says, I can grab rim, but I want to dunk. Would you do the jump manual, or would you just let your body progress naturally? I would do the jump manual. If you want to jump higher, you should do something that's specifically designed to make you jump higher, because your body progressing naturally is not specifically designed to make you jump higher. Human body was not designed to play basketball. So if you want to jump high, you need to do something that's made to make you jump high. And that's dreallday.com/jump. Next question. 2001 Elijah says, have you ever thought of becoming a coach for a basketball team? If so, would you do it or no? Have I thought about it? Yes. Would I do it? No. Coaching is just not in the cards for me. I'm not the coach type, so I will not be coaching any basketball teams. Tony says, I don't like to disrespect anyone on the court or off the court, but lately sometimes I felt disrespected on the court. I try to brush it off on the outside, even though the outcome was I won the game, but it really takes me out of my zone. Is that just me? I feel like Tony just posted this question. Didn't you just post the same question last week? I addressed this. Next question. Jay Miller says, what is your opinion on Allen Iverson? I just mentioned Allen Iverson. You should ask me something more specific than what's my opinion of him. I think he's a great player, one of the greatest of all time. Next, Jigga Stewart says, what's your take on doing daily or weekly vlogs about just basketball and life? Well, you can kind of say that I do that. This is kind of like a vlog in itself. And on my other channel that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, youtube.com/DreAllDay, I'm going to be talking about life and not just basketball. But you could say that this channel is a vlog on basketball, because basketball ain't all talking, right? Basketball is actually on the court playing. So if you were to look at it that way, I've been vlogging about basketball since 2006 when I started this YouTube channel. Next question. Laker Bulls 241 says, how much water do you drink in a day? Since he said that, I should take a drink. I don't measure how much water I drink. By the time y'all watch this video, this is coming out on Saturday. Tomorrow morning will be the diet and nutrition video that I solicited you guys questions for. That will be coming out tomorrow morning on this channel, so make sure you check it out. It's a long video, but I address everything in that video, from supplements to what meals to eat before, during, after workouts, what to eat to get bigger, etc., etc. So that will be out then. How much water do I drink in a day? To answer this question, I don't measure it, but I drink a lot. But I do address that in the video coming out tomorrow. Next, Wilson Lamb says, how do you choose between giving the ball to an open man or taking your own shot down the stretch? Well, you don't really choose, because as I mentioned a few minutes ago, while the game's going on, you don't have time to choose. You don't have time to think about it. You don't get to weigh the options. You either do it or you don't, and it happens in a split second, because that man might not be open 2 seconds from now if he's open right now, the time you think about it. So you just react instinctively. These are instincts. Some players' instincts might be to pass more often, and other players' instinct might be to shoot. And depending on the game situation, your instinct may fluctuate between passing and shooting, depending on how you feel, how the game's going, what the score is, how the defense is playing, how your teammates doing, what the play is, what the coach wants you to do. Is a million variables. So you don't choose, you react instinctively. Next, the LS Jerks says, how important is rest/light days? Do you take days off for your body to recover? How important is it? It was important because you need to listen to your body. What's important is not just the rest/light days. What's important is that you listen to your body. There have been periods in my life where I've gone 30, 40 straight days working out every single one of those days, and it was fine for me. It didn't bother me at that period in time. There's been periods where I've worked out maybe 5 days a week and taken 2 days off for those weeks, or 6 days, or 7 days and then took a day off the next week, then 7 days, and the next week did 6. So it's not really about that you need to take a rest day just because. You take a day off when your body's telling you need a day off. And of course, you do the things that you need to do as far as your rest and repairing your body, which means taking in a lot of water, making sure you get some ice on your body to get down that inflammation, making sure you stay off your feet as much as you can so that your legs can rest, putting the right fuel into your body, and all you know through common sense what food is going to help you and what food is going to hurt you. And I'll talk about that in the video coming out tomorrow. But in general, all of you know what food is good and what food is bad. You don't need a guide or a video to tell you that. You know. And there's no gray area for the most part about it. So hopefully that answers your question. How important is it? Is not really something that you can quantify. What you need to consider important is listening to your body. Because no one's body feels exactly the same as someone else's. Next, Tommy says, his question is, does ethnicity matter? And he's talking about dunking and doing plyos. He says he's Chinese, he's 5'11", and he eats a lot of rice. I don't know why the rice part matters. He says, do I see Asians dunking on TV? Does ethnicity matter? Well, the only basketball I watch on TV or anywhere actually is NBA basketball, and the only Chinese person I've seen was Wang Zhizhi and Yao Ming. So I saw both of them dunk. So to answer your question, yeah, I saw them dunk. I haven't seen any other Chinese players because I don't watch Chinese basketball. And he says, does ethnicity matter? Does it matter for what? You're just asking, does it matter, period? I don't know what the question is. As far as your ability to dunk, I wouldn't even consider it to really say, Tommy, for your purposes, I wouldn't consider whether ethnicity matters or not, because if I say yes, let's just say hypothetically, I said, yeah, ethnicity matters, and if you're not black, you can't dunk. Does that mean you're just going to give up trying to dunk? Or does that mean you're going to go try to change your ethnicity to being black? What are you going to do? There's nothing that you can do about it but deal with the situation at hand, which is you being 5'11", you being 160 pounds, and being Chinese. You can't change those things. Or you might be able to change your weight if you eat more or less and work out. And your height might change, but you can't control it. You can't change the fact you're Chinese. You're stuck being Chinese for the rest of your life. Now, you could take that as a positive, you could take it as a negative, but it's 100% up to you. Next, YellNats1234 says, am I a fan of Kendrick Lamar's music, and what song is my favorite? Yes, I am a fan of Kendrick Lamar. What song is my favorite? I haven't really listened yet to any of the newer stuff he's put out. I heard about a couple songs he put out, but I didn't really listen. So my favorite would be the first song off his last album, which was Shireen, aka Master Splinter's daughter. Next, D-Roy Adams says, I watch all your videos for advice and skills. Your reactions to comments are funny. Well, thank you. Says, do you think it's possible to dunk from the 3-point line, or can you? Well, first, to answer the last part first, no, I cannot dunk from the 3-point line. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, I think it's possible. Is there someone alive who can do it? If there is, I haven't seen them. So, is it possible? Yeah, I think anything's possible. Next, Cameron Davis says, can you do the jump manual and the Ultimate Athlete program together? Because I have them both. No. Well, answer is, can you? Yes. Should you? No. Do not do the jump manual and Ultimate Athlete at the same time. Do not. Do one first, then the other. First one you should do is Ultimate Athlete. The second one, jump manual. Next, Jasu Griwal says, what are my thoughts on, he said, my thoughts on All-Star Weekend made him laugh. And he says, you do have really good points though. Well, thank you, Jasu. I think I addressed All-Star Weekend last week. Next. All right, Jasu's question is, he says he tore his ACL when he landed on the ground from a jump shot a couple years ago. And then last week, he sprained his other knee, his ACL and his MCL, while running to pick up a loose ball. And he asked me, is it due to a lack of a flexibility? And if not, what do I think it is? Well, Jasu, I would love to be able to address that, but I'll be doing you a disservice because I have absolutely no knowledge or expertise when it comes to injuries of the joints and things like that. I think a person you could contact is my trainer, Maria. You can email her, maria@groovysweat.com, GROOVY, and then the word sweat, like sweat when you run and you get hot, sweat. groovysweat.com, Maria at. She'll answer that question. better than I could. But if I try to answer it, I'm gonna give you some information that's completely useful and is not based on any level of expertise or knowledge. Next, KD MVP Thunder says he has a problem. When he plays basketball near his skill level, with people who are near his skill level, he's good. When he plays with people better than him, he gets nervous, he misses shots. Any tips to help this? Yes, KD MVP. I posted a video called How to Practice Basketball as Good as You Play Basketball. So actually all you gotta do is search, go to the search bar over the top there, type in Dre Baldwin practice, and that video will be the first result. I know because I searched it. So go type in Dre Baldwin practice and you'll see the link to that video. Watch that video, internalize what I'm saying, and it'll answer your question. Jake Morton says, thanks for the help. Keep making great vids. I get a lot of inspiration from you. Well, thank you, Jake Morton. I appreciate it. Yoel Gide says, I'm wondering your opinions on the recent setback that Chris Bosh had, as well as Derrick Rose's third knee injury for the third year in a row. How do you think they'll come back from it, etc.? Well, first of all, with Chris Bosh, his is like, who knows where that comes from. I'm not a doctor, so I have no idea. I didn't read too much up on what happened to Chris Bosh. I know that he had something that's internal, like with his lungs or something. That has nothing to do with him playing basketball. He didn't get that injury from somebody bumping into him or landing the wrong way while he was running up and down the court. So that one is kind of like a freak type of thing that happens, and there's not anything he can do about it. He just has to kind of wait that out and let the doctors tell him what he can do, what he can't do. I'm sure he has great medical attention from the people he's dealing with, but there's not really anything you can do for that. I mean, you can't like lift weights until you can't weight lift your lungs into strength. And that's not the best way to put it, but y'all understand what I'm saying. He had, I think it was blood clots. I think, don't quote me on that. But what can you do about that? You just got to wait it out, and whatever medical procedures you got to go through, you go through to get back on the court. As far as Derrick Rose's goes, his is more like something that happened playing basketball. The only reason he hurt his knees is because he plays basketball. The Chris Bosh thing, that could have happened if Chris Bosh had been a elementary school teacher. He might have the same situation. It just wouldn't be big news because he's a teacher instead of an NBA player. But Derrick Rose's probably happens because he plays basketball. So my thoughts on Derrick Rose is unfortunate to see any player get hurt, since Derrick Rose is one of the best players out there. He's a popular guy who a lot of fans watch the games because of Derrick Rose. And the Chicago Bulls are a really good team. So one, it weakens the whole race of the NBA because one of the better teams lost one of their best players. Probably the best player on the team, Derrick Rose, or at least career-wise, Derrick Rose is one of the best players. This year, I actually think Jimmy Butler's been their best player. But overall with Rose, hopefully he comes back. I think he will. I think Derrick Rose is only, what, like 25, 26 years old, so he's been in the league, seems like forever, but he's not even that old. So I believe he'll come back. I believe he'll be strong again. He'll be able to do his thing. Do I think he'll be able to play back the level he was when he won the MVP that year, where he the MVP was stolen from LeBron and given to him? In my opinion, do I think he'll get to that level again? I don't think so, just because once you hurt your knee, you just don't have that same, speed. You don't have that top speed like you once had. Now, I know Westbrook hurt his knee, but his knee injury wasn't as bad as Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose tore his ACL. Russell Westbrook didn't tear his ACL. I think his was like a meniscus or something like that. I think. Don't quote me on none of this. I might have this information all wrong, but I don't think Derrick Rose is going to be, he's not going to have that fastball, that 100-mile-per-hour fastball anymore, but he can still be a very good player, because even a diminished athleticism, Derrick Rose is still more athletic than a lot of guards out there. So hopefully he comes back stronger than ever. He might be back before the end of the season too. Next, Martin Ivanov says, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you were in the Nike Summer Series 2 game. His question is, why wasn't I there? Was it because I didn't want to, or was it something else? And could I be more specific about it? Well, the Summer Series 2 game was a Nike game where they sponsored and had like random players they picked off the internet to play. I played in the Summer Series 1 game in the summer of 2013. Then the summer of 2014, they had another game. But they didn't pick anybody who played in the first one to play in the second one. So that's pretty much what I noticed as the reason. But other than that, I don't know. I'm not an insider. I don't work for Nike. So what their decision-making process was and why they did it, I have no idea. So that's all I can tell you. Next, Joel Areola says, what would I do if I won the $280 million lottery? I would still do a Q&A video that Friday. Next, Derek Rose says, how can I get a good mentality on the court that will make me think I hate everyone I go up against and I want to kill them, figuratively speaking? My biggest problem in games is my mentality. What you should do is watch my videos on the mental game, and you can actually go to my website, dreallday.com, and I have a link that says videos, and I have an entire section that's just about the mental side of the game. So go watch those videos and that'll help you out. I don't know if it's gonna make you want to kill people, but it will help your mental game. Next, D Flash says, I have a good amount of fat on my body and I want to start to work out. Do I think he should try to burn the fat before he starts working out? He's trying to get more muscular. Well, D Flash, the only way you're gonna burn the fat is by working out. So I think you might have not a clear definition of what working out is. So if you want to burn fat, the only way you're going to get there is by working out. You're not going to get there by not working out. So yes, to answer your question, yeah, you got to be a lot more specific with your question and get clear on what it is you mean, because your question kind of negates the answer to the question. The way you phrased it, it kind of negates itself. Next question. Swaggy Mamba says, I'm a 5'7" shooting guard and I want to play varsity as a freshman next year. Are there any tips to prepare, like specifics, not just the basic work on your game? Man, I have specific things that I think he should work on skill-wise. Well, it always makes me curious when people come to me and say, can I give them specific things they should work on to get better, as if they don't know how they found this channel. It's because I don't have a couple thousand videos of me doing drills that any of you can do to get your game better. So I don't understand where that question is coming from, Swaggy Mamba. Next, Amazing One says, how can you get beautiful girls to like you? Amazing One, you asked me the same question last week. Next, this is a different Derek Rose. He says, I have a fitness class with the coach of my high school team. I didn't make the team a couple months ago. And then he says in parentheses that the high school coach, he used to play professional basketball and he's still pretty young and very fit. Then he says, the class has a board that lists exercises that we should all do. And there are 2 guys in class who are on the team, and he says he works so much harder than those guys, and they half-ass their workouts while he pushes himself, and the coach acknowledges them on their good work but completely ignores him, that being the questioner, Derek Rose. He says he's pretty fit, he can ball, he's getting good grades. Could I possibly tell him why this might be happening? Well, Derek Rose, if you didn't make the team, then there's a reason why you didn't make the team. So you saying that you work harder than these guys and they half-ass, well, the first thing, let's get the first thing out of the way. What they're doing is none of your business. Whether they're half-assing, whether they're going 1,000,000 miles per hour, whether they even show up to class and what their grades are, or whatever you think about them, does not matter, because they're not thinking about you. So you need to focus on what you need to do. Now, you didn't make the basketball team. I noticed looking at your question, you didn't say you were better than them, right? So why are you not on the basketball team? Apparently you need to improve your performance. Now, maybe you need to improve your skills, maybe you need to improve your mentality, maybe you need to improve both, but you need to improve. Don't focus on the other guys or how much harder you think you work. Listen, this is the thing about people, when people talk about how hard they work when it comes to basketball players, because I hear it all the time. I look on social media and I see people talking about, posting things about how hard they worked or about what their workout was today, as if that's supposed to be impressive. Listen, when you play a sport, hard work is part of the job. That's what you're supposed to do. So hard work is not an accomplishment. Now, I don't care what your profession is, actually. Every professional, if you're a professional in what you do, you're supposed to work hard. So people saying that they work hard or they work harder than this guy and that guy, who cares? You're supposed to. That's your job, to work hard. All right, there's no reward for working hard. The reward is when you perform and you have the achievements, you have the accomplishments. So let's get the I work harder than this guy thing out of the way, because that guy performed better than you when it mattered, right? So what you can do is watch, for your next tryouts, is watch the video where I talked about the 3 things you need to do to make the basketball team. Watch that video, or just search Dre Baldwin tryouts, and you'll see that video, so you can get some tips on what you can do when it's time to perform, because that's the area that probably kept you off the basketball team, is the fact that you didn't perform, because you said your grades are good. It's not about what you do in gym class or fitness class. It's about what you do at tryouts when the coach is evaluating you for playing on his team. It's not about what you're doing in class. You might get an A in the class, so he might think you're a great student. What does it have to do with making the basketball team? Nothing. If you want the coach's attention and you want him to pay attention to you and maybe put you on the basketball team in the future, he's your teacher. Open your mouth and talk to him. The same way you're talking to me, take everything that you said to me, and I tell players this all the time, because players come to me and they make these bold statements about their coaches who either put them on the team or don't put them in the game enough or don't give them the ball enough. And they make these really bold statements towards their coach, but they say it to me. So I say take everything you're saying to me about your coach and say it to your coach about your coach. And I guarantee you probably will have to edit your statement, because you wouldn't say that to the coach, what you're saying to me. So go find out directly from the source what the problem is. I can't speak for him. I'm not the coach. I'm not the guy ignoring you in favor of 2 other guys. He is. So if you really, really, really want to know, you got to talk to the person who's doing it. Next. John Bob V says, I can shoot the lights out in the gym behind the 3. I can drive when the help D comes and my defender sticks with me. But he always gets the ball. He always gets a shot blocked by everyone. He says 5'5" guys are blocking his shot. He tries to finger roll, shoot a little bunny shot over the rim. He tries to do a step back. He tries to keep the ball away from their faces, etc., etc. And he's not improving at all. Do I have any help? He's a 5'8" guard. He's pretty quick, but he's always scared of failure. So he doesn't try to drive, and no one tries to help him. The coach just says, nice try, in quotation marks. Well, John, you said you can drive and you can shoot the lights out, but then you said you're not improving at all. So how did you develop those skills if you're not improving at all? I mean, you didn't come out of your mother's womb. You weren't born in the hospital with ability to shoot the lights out and drive. So you had to have done some practice and developed some skills to be able to do those things. So when people, you gotta first of all cut out all the drama, all the dramatics. Like, I'm not improving at all, and then you say people are embarrassing me. I'm getting the ball stuffed in my face. Like, cut all the dramatics out. And it's not for me, and I'm not saying cut them out for my sake. I'm not saying cut them out for the sake of the audience who's watching this video. I'm saying cut them out for the sake of the things that you say out of your mouth. First of all, those had to start as thoughts in your mind, because those thoughts become your words. And when you use those words, you're basically reiterating that thought. You're reiterating the feeling, and you're internalizing it into yourself. You're weakening yourself when you're saying these things about yourself. You're saying, I'm not getting any better. I'm getting embarrassed. I'm not improving. I'm getting the ball stuffed in my face. People are embarrassing me. Nobody's forcing you to choose those words. The words that you use, become the way that you start to carry yourself. They become the way that you see yourself. And the way you see yourself is the way you're going to live. And the way you live is basically going to become what your life is going to be known for at the end of your life. So stop using words that make you less powerful. Use words that empower you. Even if you're in the same situation, you could say something like, Dre, how can I get better at finishing? Or how can I get better at driving to the basket? Or what can I do in a situation where I've gotten my shot blocked before? Say things that empower you, because that question is an empowering question, because you're putting your brain to work to say, okay, what solutions can you come up with, brain, to help this situation? You're not just putting yourself down by saying, I'm getting embarrassed, I'm not getting any better. If you tell your brain I'm getting embarrassed and I'm not getting any better, you know what your brain's gonna do? Your brain's gonna say you're right, and it's gonna deliver you a whole bunch of other thoughts, ideas, and memories that reinforce whatever you just told it. So if you tell your brain something positive, or you give your brain some work to do by saying, brain, what can I do? What ways can I blank? When you use those type of phrases and then you fill in the blank, you're giving your brain a job to do. And your brain is the most powerful tool. The brain is the most powerful tool that humans know of. There's no tool stronger than the human brain, because everything that exists, the phones we got, the computers, the internet, YouTube, the whole game of basketball, all of those started in somebody's brain. So there's nothing out there that's stronger than the brain. So when you give yourself those disempowering statements and you write them down and you put them out there, which means you obviously been ruminating on them, you're making yourself weaker. So the first thing you need to do, John, is stop using this type of language. The second thing as far as your situation, he basically named a bunch of different ways he tries to score. It says finger rolls, little shot over the rim, stepping back, keeping the ball away from their face, and none of those are working. I don't believe you, John. I don't believe that you're doing all of those things and none of them are working at all and you're getting blocked every single time. I 100% do not believe that. I think maybe you might have tried each one or two times and didn't make a shot and then forgot about the couple times you made it, and then you're dramatizing it. So that's the reason why I said cut the drama out, because you're exaggerating everything, and it's not hurting me, it's not hurting the audience, you're hurting yourself because you're incanting. Like Tony Robbins like to say, this is incanting. Incantations. When you start to say something with such emotional force or something that has an emotional weight to it, you're making it even bigger than if you just said it just in a normal, even keel tone. If your emotion is very high, as in excited, or very low, like you're very sad or angry or something like that, that makes it even stronger. It makes an even stronger connection in your brain. So stop with all the drama. That's the second thing that you need to do. The third thing that you need to do is look at my playlist on this channel called Driving Moves. I got a Driving Moves playlist, number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. In each playlist, the limit for a playlist on YouTube is 200 videos. So that's 2, 4, 6, and I'm working on getting up to 800 Driving Moves videos. So if you were to work on, let's say you pick 20 of those, I don't care which 20, any 20, and you work on those skills over and over and over again, you'll be making some shots when you drive to the basket. And if you would like a specific program that's kind of designed that tells you exactly what to do, when to do, how to do it, go to hoophandbook.com and check out the Driving Moves package that I have. Scoring Moves, actually. It's called Scoring Moves package. So that's shooting and driving, scoring off the dribble. Next. Christian Stevens says, I'm 16 and I'm 6 feet tall. I play guard. I'm the tallest on my team. I'm the only one who can create offense for myself. My coach tells me to go in the post, but I'm normally the shortest on my team and do not ever go in the post because that's the weakest part of my game. My team needs me to score in order to win, but I don't know how my coach expects me to change my game in a week. What should I do? All right. So Christian gave me 2 different pieces of information here that conflict with each other. First, he says, I'm the tallest on my team and the only one who can create offense. And then he says, my coach tells me to go in the post, but I'm normally the shortest on my team and don't ever go in the post. So which one is it, Christian? Are you the tallest person or the shortest person? I don't think you're confused on that. Maybe he just got confused when he was writing. But it doesn't matter. I can still address this question. He says his team needs him to score, but he doesn't know how his coach expects him to change his game in a week. Well, first of all, Christian, going from playing on the perimeter to playing in the post does not involve changing your game. So you got the wrong idea here. And again, this is another one of those, you're using certain phrases that are weakening yourself. You don't have to change your game. Like if I was playing on a team, if they took you off your team and I took your spot, right? And I was the guy who was dribbling up the court and the coach said, Dre, go in the post. I don't have to change my game to go in the post, because guess what? I can go in the post and score 5 times in the post. I didn't lose my ability to dribble. I didn't lose my ability to handle the ball. It didn't just disappear. Just because you score in the post a couple times don't mean that your guard game just goes away and evaporates. It's still there. You can be good at both. Y'all ever watch somebody like LeBron James or Russell Westbrook or Kobe Bryant? Don't they handle the ball on the perimeter and dribble? Don't they also post up and score in the post? And then they go back to dribbling again, and then they go back to the post again. So they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have to be just a post guy or just a guard. Why can't you have both abilities? And when you have both abilities, you know what? A lot of things happen. One thing that happens is you're a more valuable player to any team, because if you go to a team and they say we need a guard and you can do guard and post, then okay, you fit the bill, you can play with us. If you go to the same team and they say we need a post, but all you can do is play guard, then they say, okay, well, we can't use you because we need a post. Or if you go to a team that needs a post and all you can do is play guard, they can't use you either. So if you're able to do both, then you make yourself more valuable automatically, because you're able to be used in more different situations. So you're more valuable to a team that you're not on, because you have more options, because the more things you're capable, the more gaps you're capable of plugging. And also on a team that you're already on, you're more valuable because the coach looks at you and says, okay, I can put Christian at the point if we need him to play the point, but if we get a good point guard and I need him in the post, I know I can put him down there too because he showed that he has some post skills. So don't think that because you play guard, you or anyone else, Christian, just because you play guard doesn't mean you don't ever go in the post, because that makes you automatically, oh, I'm a post player now, I can't play guard. Your skills don't go away. You can have skills of both at the same time. Next, Mike Ruthless TV says, do you ever get crossed like falling to the ground? Thankfully, no, I haven't. I've been crossed, but never like falling to the ground, nothing that would make a YouTube highlight clip. Next, NBA General, we got 3 questions left. Says, do I think Joe Johnson's play has dropped off this year? He's averaging 15.7 points per game. What can he do to get back to being ISO Joe that we have all come to know and love? Well, NBA General, I don't know if ISO Joe is going to happen again. First, number one reason is that he's not on the same team. When he was ISO Joe, he was playing in Atlanta and they had John Drew as the coach, and John Drew used to draw up isolation plays for Joe Johnson. So it was partly the coaching and his personnel, the players who were around him, it worked for them. Now he's on a different team with a different coach and different players around him. They don't do as much isolation. So isolation is not really all about the players, about the coach and the system that they have in place. So I don't think he's going to get a lot of that isolation stuff. As far as do I think his play has dropped off? Yeah, I think Joe Johnson is slowly dropping off. I mean, no player is just going to stay averaging 25. At one point he was scoring a lot of points. He's not going to stay there for his entire career. But again, that might have something to do with the personnel. It might have something to do with the coaching and the system, and also might have something to do with his game. Maybe, I don't think he lost skill, but people lose their athleticism. You don't have that quickness. You might be a half a step, not even a half a step, 1/10 of a step slower could be the difference between getting a layup and having to shoot a tougher floater that doesn't go in with as high a percentage. So anything could be the difference between you scoring 18 and you scoring 15. It could be the amount of shot opportunities. It could be you just got somebody on your team who's just a little bit better than the guy who was in his position the year before. So is Joe Johnson going to be up averaging 20-something a game ever again? I don't think so. But again, there's many reasons that could be. It could be him, it could be other things. Next, KCI Oktila says, do I know any exercise that will get my first step quicker? To get your first step quicker, you can do a lot of things. The first step is a speed movement. It's the movement between having your feet close to each other and getting one foot out in front of the other one. That's all it is. And it doesn't matter if you're in the triple threat position or if you're off the dribble. That is the first step. So that means you have to have that whole chain firing. So that's core, that's your hip flexors, that's the quads, that's the calf muscle to propel you forward, the glutes propel you forward, your lower back propels you forward, and your hamstrings propel you forward. So there's a lot of different things. There are a bunch of different exercises you can do. The first thing I tell you to do is check out the speed and quickness playlist on my channel. And the second thing would be to check out the Ultimate Athlete program, which covers as part of the 15 weeks, speed and quickness as part of the program. Last question, Harris Kyle says, I have only an hour a day in my gym to train basketball. So most of the time, I play outside. But I noticed that when I get back to school, when I get back inside the school gym for playing outside, I lose the feel for the ball and I can't shoot. So should I train only in school, and what's my opinion on training on outside courts? Well, Harris, I don't think you being outside has anything to do with what you're doing on the inside. That's just, I'm not saying you personally, but that's just an excuse that a lot of players use. They say I play outside and then I go inside and all of a sudden my skills just disappeared into thin air. That doesn't happen. If you have skills, you got skills anywhere. If you put your favorite basketball player, fill in the blank, outside, they're going to be just as good. Maybe they might play a little bit different style, but if you had them play outside for a week and then you bring them back inside, guess what? They're still going to be just as good as they were the week before when they were playing inside. So your skills do not erode because you played on the outside court. And that goes for you, Harris, and that goes for everyone else. So no, that is a weak excuse that I don't know who started that. But the person who started that needs to be smacked, because now a whole lot of players in the world are starting to believe that, and it's absolutely 1000% false. So if you lost your game when you got inside, then you might not have had that much game to begin with. So what you should do is practice as much as you, number one, want to, number two, need to improve your game And don't let the outside inside thing factor into your mind, because all that is a story you're telling yourself. You're telling yourself that, oh, the outside is making my game worse. No, bullshit. You're making your game worse. So what you need to do is focus on how you can improve your game. Ask yourself a better question like, how can I use this outside court situation to keep improving my game so when I get back to the inside court, I'm just as good, if not better than I was the last time. That's it, everybody. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the comments. Y'all are getting very good with the questions here in the Q&A. I'm appreciating y'all coming through with high quality questions and comments. As long as we keep it that way, we're gonna keep this Q&A thing going. Again, you get my book, Buy a Game, at dreallday.com/buyagame. That is a free PDF, the link I just gave you. You can get this, the hard copy, on Amazon.com. You can also get it for Kindle. You can also get it for iBooks. But again, you can read the book for free. You don't even have to buy it. You can read this for free at dreallday.com/PDF. That's it. Work on your game. dreallday.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here. And make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.